Okay, I think Portia, Rick,
Here are no updates.
Samra, Sandy,
I'm here and no updates.
Shelley,
Here are no updates.
Stacy, Teresa. Tony wasn't going to be on, and Bill Barnett. Is he on?
I think he said he was going to be at a basketball game.
Okay. And we aren't letting
I believe that's probably Joe.
Yeah, that's Joe's his wife's, I think that's his wife's tablet. So I think you can, if it happens again, we can blame Joe, but I think you can let him in.
So moving back to the COG leadership, we'll open the agenda.
Is Jason back on or no?
I just got a note that Jason needs the link. Kelly, did he not get the link? And Lois says she needs the link. So let me see. I'll forward it to them. Just a second.
We might have all gotten it at the same time.
Oh, what did it? It was just a little slow.
It may have gone to his old email.
Okay. Yeah, we were the only three left in the old meeting.
Oh God. Sorry.
Oh no, I had left and then came back and I was just trying to figure it out.
Hopefully did they
chaos
stop?
Stopped. Yes.
Oh, had it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to remove people as fast as I could. So
Yes. Well, do you know, is there a way to delete those people from the meetings?
if you right click on their like little pictures on the side, you can remove from meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I was like trying to do. But
They were popping up quite fast.
yes.
Okay. Well, I just sent it to Jason too, and there's Lois. Okay. So hopefully, does Jason have a new email?
Yes, let me find it here.
Okay. If you can get that to him, that'd be, or I can.
And I love that you're strong.
It's, here, I'll send it to him. So I can forward it to him.
Okay. I thought I sent it to that email. It's Abby. Oh, sorry. I've got TV going on in the background, so let me mute myself.
Abby, you just gave us a scare that we thought that was coming back on again. Lena's saying the volume keeps going out, but that may be because nobody's talking.
I think everybody's still in shock.
You're right.
And then there's a couple of different links that are still floating around. So people are struggling to find the right link to the meeting.
Well, we're glad you're back. We're glad everybody's back.
We've got 21 people as of now. I think we had 22 at the start.
Oh,
So
that's pretty good.
My apologies on that. Did we finish the roll call before the hijacking occurred?
No, but we continued it when we resumed.
So hopefully everybody can hear me. We wanted to use this January meeting to kind of kick off the year, get ourselves organized for, the next 12 months. And by doing that, we just really wanted to revisit a couple of things. Really to understand and reiterate to everybody what our purpose and mission statement is and whether we're happy with that or whether we need to revisit that. Kelly, do you have that available?
Jason, I even went on the MPART website. I didn't see where there was actually a mission statement.
So maybe we'll need to send that out separately.
Okay.
I saw somebody pull something up. It is out there because I've read it.
Okay.
We have the charter.
Yeah, in the charter, I think is the section where kind of what the purpose for the COG is.
I can read the
So-
purpose from the charter if that's what you were looking for.
Yeah, I don't think we have a formal mission statement.
Okay. Would you like me to read the purpose?
Yes, please.
Okay. It is a fundamental purpose of this work group to advise and assist MPART to partner proactively with PFAS impacted citizens and communities throughout Michigan, recognizing that the ideas and perspectives of an engaged and empowered citizenry are essential to MPART in fulfilling its duty to protect public health and ensure the safety of Michigan's land, air, and water. The work group will, number one, advise MPART on performing outreach and establishing a dialogue with interested parties to ensure that all community stakeholders in impacted areas are informed, educated, and fully empowered to provide input to MPART regarding PFAS contamination and all non-confidential aspects of the work of MPART. And two, work with MPART to ensure that the general public is informed in a timely and coordinated manner.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Is everybody comfortable with what our purpose is as a group? It's fairly clear. Do we need to revisit it? Do we just need to, I guess, refresh everybody and just kind of move on? I'm taking the thumbs up. I'm saying is everyone's happy with it? And Daniel, I know you helped craft this thing, so.
This was actually before my time, but yeah, I'm happy with it as well.
It's a lie, and you can, if people have, I'm not looking at the chat, but if people have issues or think we need to expand it, you can stick something in the chat or send an email to Sandy, myself, or Mary, and we can bring it up. So thank you for whoever pulled this up.
So I think it's a good that we look at that because it is easy in these groups to get focused on other things or think we have another mission in a cog, you know what I mean? And so I think to have that purpose there, so we know that's exactly what our role is here. There may be other things we want to do with PFAS in the future, and that may be with other
other, groups or entities that we work with. So, but it looks like this is saying it's to get back and forth dialogue with other community stakeholders and to work to help the general public stay informed. So.
Well, thank you for that, Sandy.
I think John had a comment too.
Yeah, I was just wondering how well did we do against this purpose last year? Have we been measuring this? Have we been tracking how well we're doing against the purpose? Is that something that maybe we should do this year? Just asking.
You know,
That's
it
a great
has been
question.
brought up in the past about trying to find some way to actually come up with a gauge of how successful things are. And Portia, when she had joined, she had tried to introduce some analytic aspects to it. And I know Kelly has tried to do this too. If anybody has expertise in that area, you know, I think we'd be welcome to look into some of those things. But as of right now, I don't think we have any measurable way to do it, do we?
We've held monthly meetings. I think we've had some really good initiatives. We've got spun up around the axles on a couple of things and I think deviated a little bit from our purpose. But I think we've got back to it. Like with some of the things that are coming up with like with the PFAS week, and maybe Rick can give us an update. I think we are making some really good progress. Question is how external is it versus internal within this group? And I think that's where we may be able to do a better job in 26 than we did maybe in 25. I see some really good things coming.
Yeah, that's a really good response, I think. From this, John. Is the relationship with MPART and what is the value that we're providing to MPART and what are our needs, what we need, what do we need with our partner MPART, you know, to make all of this effort successful. I know we've been generally discussing a lot of that. We did have a lot of good things happen last year. Would love to be able to take credit for that and kind of publish the value of this team.
Thank you, Jen. If you or anybody else has good ideas on how to do that, feel free to share them. We would love that.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. So, and I agree, capturing even just subjectively sort of what we worked on, why, I don't think it needs to be to the level of metrics. I mean, metrics are great, but I think, the narrative around sharing information, linking affected communities across Michigan, there's a lot of good narrative there, particularly as administrations and legislatures change over. I think it's good to have that somewhere so everybody's aware of it.
It's an interesting question for Abby or Kelly. Internally within MPART, do you guys have to report, what's gone on over the last year internally?
It's not a formal request, but what we report out on every year is our fast facts. And so we try to look at, what we've accomplished in the last year, how many drinking water wells were sampled, how many, filters were given, how many sites were done. And so this year we focused on success stories. The Cadillac engagement was a huge part of what we did this last year. And so, trying to capture that for every year. So like you guys are saying, it's not a hard and fast metric. We try to put some bounds around it, but every year it's a little bit different as to the area that gets focused on. I think for the coming year, I would love to see us, work on, there's going to be a number of initiatives, I think, where we're going to be potentially looking to try to encourage more and more people to sample their drinking water wells, especially as we find PFAS in a lot of areas that we wouldn't expect them to find for our normal contaminant sites. So we could set some subjective goals within this group that would align with what we're thinking about for the coming year and work on those. And I think they all fit in really, really well with what you guys are looking at accomplishing with the PFAS. So PFAS Awareness Week, and DHHS has got a PFAS campaign going on for the whole next year. I think it starts here and hopefully by the end of January, and all of those efforts should combine really nicely to give us a good oomph and boost to really get that public awareness and engagement out there around, we got 1 million drinking water wells in the state. Everybody should be testing for PFAS. It's so common. And unfortunately, we're talking about potential contamination from your septic tank. So that's something that is not normal to most of our contamination sites. That answer your question?
Yeah, that was good.
John, I'm happy to work with you to kind of make just a really quick bullet point list of what we accomplished over the last year, because I think to Daniel's point, that really is important as we're looking in the next year, changing administration and all that. I think to show that there's some value in the COG, which is a little different than MPART. MPART does a nice job at showing what they've done over the year. I think it'd be good for us to be able to show that too, whether it's educating the members of the COG or the outreach we've done in other communities as well to do some education. So if anybody wants to work with John and I on a quick Zoom, I don't think that's going to take long. Do you, John?
No. I think you've got the minutes. You've got a record of all this stuff, and I guess the question is does MPART feel like COG is adding value to the work that they do?
I would hands down say yes. I mean, you guys are always in the back of our mind and, help us guide our work.
Well, and you've got, sorry for the background noise, and you've got the, you guys are out there talking to the legislators, you're out there talking to the community members, you're our eyes and ears that we don't always get the same perspective. So yeah, absolutely. This group is, I think, necessary, needed, and the more we can align our efforts, I think, the more effective we become. But absolutely, I think, this is definitely an effective group that we need to continue our efforts. So
That's actually a really good segue into the next bullet in terms of the schedule for these meetings. We've been doing these monthly. Do we feel that that's effective? Or do we feel that maybe every other month might help with people's schedules and engagement? So it wasn't quite as frequent. So it's people's thoughts on that.
I think I would like to just say that I'm a little concerned about going down to every other month, just because I think people might end up where they're not thinking about it on being every second Tuesday and might miss meetings. And also the commitment. There's obviously so much that needs to be done with PFAS. If we get away to every other month, are we going to have as much focus on it?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm definitely not a fan of having meetings when I feel like I don't want to have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting, but I feel like these meetings, we've had ample stuff to talk about, community updates, whatever. And there are slow times and there are times that get heavier. But I think the balance we've struck with, basically keeping to a monthly meeting schedule, but then, skipping, was it August in the summer? and then maybe something for the holidays, whatever. But yeah, I feel like I think we're roughly about right on that.
Anybody
I
have a
think too,
different viewpoint?
if somebody misses, if we go to every other month and somebody misses a meeting, that's now 4 months since they've, really been engaged in the meeting. So I think the monthly meetings are better than doing it every other month.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like just from the voices that I'm hearing now, unless anyone's opposed, sounds like we're just going to keep a monthly schedule and then cancel meetings as appropriate.
Can I also, at one of the member only meetings that we had, I think it might have been Lynn McIntosh who brought up the idea of possibly doing like one meeting that would be education and presentation and that type thing. And then following it with a monthly meeting where it would just be members speaking and sharing like what is happening with their groups and, best case scenarios and things like that for newer members. Does anybody see a purpose to that, or do you actually appreciate the fact of the monthly presentations and that type thing?
I
I
really like the
support
monthly presentations.
the continuation of the monthly meeting. We like to give the advice and guidance to MPART, and let's go find more interesting things to do.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep, like your enthusiasm.
Yeah, I like the trainings too. I mean, we had a lot of really nice presentations and trainings and useful discussion around those topics. That's really great. And then one thing I've been missing is that, unless, Cadillac was a pretty sparky issue, but, we don't often have a lot of engagement, back and forth dialogue, during these meetings on, hey, well, what's going on in your area? How come, what are some of the nitty gritties, about what you're experiencing? Because we have a whole mixed group of people's skill sets and knowledge about the topics. Having that kind of engagement, I think, is useful as well. That's just my opinion.
So that's an interesting point too. So yeah, I think I like the balance of the meetings as they've been roughly, with sort of educational material updates and then community updates, feedback, and expanding or contracting as we need each of those elements. So one thing you just said though that got me thinking is, so that there are a lot of times where we don't have any new updates and it's just sort of a continuation of something that has been happening. So the River Walkers are a really good example. So we run a River Walkers program where we have in partnership with HHS, where we're sending River Walkers out. And they're talking to folks and they're reporting back the conversations that they have. And I think we've been going on, I think, 4 years with that now, and we've learned a lot. But there's nothing I would say particularly novel. The issues that I've talked about in past years haven't really changed. We're just continuing to do more of that, and it's great. And it seems to be working well. But I think that's probably the case for a lot of us, is that there's something that has been happening that we may have talked about a year or 2 or 3 ago, and it probably wouldn't hurt to just kind of remind everybody about what we're all doing periodically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like the
that.
idea.
Yeah, I like that too.
So it sounds like business as usual, for the most part, which is again a good segue into, does everybody think the current leadership model, which really has Sandy, myself, and Mary, and Abby and Kelly kind of driving, getting everything organized and getting these discussions going? Is everybody still happy with that? Does everybody think it works? Does somebody else want to be part of that leadership team? And I'm gonna take silence as everybody's happy with what currently going on.
I think what we have is pretty good. So
I would like to say though, if, we're welcome to new ideas, we're welcome to other people joining in and sharing, things that they would like to see. As far as other topics, I had written down a couple of things that we had talked about previously in the leadership meetings. There's a possibility of having a presentation by Stantec Environmental Services. There is a possibility of having a presentation by Amara Standy's family and discussion about Amara's Law. I think, is that, Sandy, is that Minnesota?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then the other one that I would like to see, I don't know, I know MPART just recently did a whole summit on it, is a discussion and presentation on microplastics. I think that's dealing with a lot of the same chemicals, and it does have the added problem of, being able to enter the body and that. So I would like to hear more about that as well.
Tony Spaniola also messaged me earlier and said one of the topics he'd like to see is groundwater, surface water testing and the complexities with that, because I guess there's a lot of complexity with that. And that would be something maybe Eagle could talk to us about, how all of that testing is done. So if we could add that to the idea, or to the list.
Yeah, I got a sort of an educational presentation around the Gelman plume by Ann Arbor about the complexities of groundwater monitoring and remediation. And yeah, I learned a lot from that. I think that's one of those things that we would all benefit from getting exposed to, is once it is in groundwater, it is very difficult to deal with. And just understanding what goes into that, I think would be particular. But these are all good ideas. So, I mean, I enthusiastically support all around.
How about anybody else have new ideas, different ideas? Rick?
Well, not a different idea, but I really support having something on the groundwater surface water interface, because that's a big issue in the Rockford area, and I'm sure it's important in other areas. And it's a little complex because I would approach it in much more of a holistic manner. And the way Eagle does is that they look at the groundwater, but they don't sample the surface water. And I've never had anybody explain to me why they're not sampling surface water, because the tannery, we've got issues there, and we've got this little creek that runs next to the tannery, and you could easily judge the effectiveness of the treatment system by sampling that little creek. It doesn't, take a lot of energy to do, but our request to have the creek sample was, no, we don't do it that way. So I would like to discuss that in more detail with somebody that can make decisions and follow through on it. So
All good ideas for future discussions.
So I have a few, but I don't want to talk too much. So one gap I brought up several times, but I'll keep doing it, is any education, awareness, explanation of how we're monitoring PFAS getting into the food supply, livestock, throughout agriculture, I think is important. There was just a meta-analysis that dropped, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, looking at how basically PFAS levels increase with every level of processing food, or every order of the food supply. So it's higher in livestock, it's higher in processed foods, and so forth. So any information on that would be great. looking at other states, looking at other policy options, I think is particularly good now because we're not going to get any federal leadership. And with that in mind, so was it 2 years ago where the Eagle staff put together a great proposed update to the drinking water standards, and then of course, the EPA rollback kind of cratered everything around that. And that was basically going to bring the Michigan standards in line with the new EPA proposed standards. But I don't know if that's dead in the water now, or if that's still pending, or just what's the status on that, and what are the alternatives going forward. So if it really is contingent on federal protections, and we no longer have any hope of that for the foreseeable future, then what's the alternative?
No, all good topics, all very relevant. So to take a step back a little bit, one of the bullets we kind of skipped over was, because we went kind of straight for the topics of COG for upcoming year, and didn't want to really stop that discussion because I thought it was very good. But do we think the subcommittees are working? I think the only one that really meets kind of regularly is the website committee. But what do we think about the others? Do we want to keep them, see if we can re-energize for this year? Consolidate?
I think we have two major problems with the subcommittees. And one of them is lack of people wanting to lead the subcommittees. And also, it's been a problem to try and find a time that would be agreeable to most people. When we tried to do the engaging the public, it was set for 5 o'clock, which was, directly before the COG meeting. And, a lot of travel time, people eating dinner, and, that was a problem. But when we had the preventative measures led by Dave Wynn, he tried, really hard to try and get people to join even evening meetings, and had a hard time getting people to join in. So whether it was the topic, whether it was, lack of interest in that specific area, we're not sure. But then Dave, unfortunately, got more heavily involved in the group up in Oscoda, Need Our Water, and ended up dropping out of the COG. So, I think at one point we were even talking about breaking up the engaging the public subcommittee into 2 different ones, and neither of those now are meeting. The preventive measures, we ran into different problems other than even Dave leaving. The few people who were joining had questions about whether some of the activities that we perceived as being necessary, such as, reaching out to legislators and that, whether that even fit with the charter. So that was a problem. But, the main purpose of that subcommittee when we started off was to turn off the tap and try and find a way on how to stop the PFAS from entering the products, entering the environment, entering the people in the first place. So if anybody has any ideas on restarting that, or, if they think that there's a need, we could certainly look into that. The membership subcommittee, that was Daniel Brown, Joe Kang, and myself. We kind of struggled with the fact of reaching out to those communities that are not represented on the COG. Now that we're up to 300 and plus, communities, How do we do that? The other thing is that we had a concept document that we had proposed, and it kind of got confused, I think, with the public notification document at one point. And so we shelved it. And now just doesn't seem to be the right political atmosphere either, with the changeover with the elections coming up and the current political aspect federally. So I guess if anybody sees a need, we could try to look for more leaders of those subcommittees, but it still would take some work on even just finding the time to do it.
So should we just try to see if we can keep the current committees going? Or merge the public notification into one? We have
the
people that
other
want to
option-
lead subcommittees.
The other option would be, we have the website committee too, right? I
Yeah,
think
that one
Brad
seems to be
does.
working well.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, the other thing we could look at is if we have projects, maybe we just do it in a meeting. You know, we don't have a separate subcommittee, we just do it here and work together on it. Just a thought.
So, try to say here. So, having been involved in a lot of groups like this, I feel like this is not uncommon where there's a ton of good ideas, and you sort of try a bunch of those ideas, and some of them gain traction and some of them don't for whatever reason. I'll use myself as an example with the membership subcommittee. I kind of exhausted a lot of my ideas on that relatively early on, and then it just didn't have any new ideas. So I think it's okay to let things go dormant, or to just go where the action is. So one question I had is, so Rick has done a really good job of kind of keeping a group going around PFAS Awareness Week in particular. And I feel like that group, and then sort of other groups that are spinning up, related to that, have been fairly active. And I think that's a really good way for this group in particular to get engaged. So is it just that there's lots of good ideas, but is it just that we have demands on our time and we have to go where the action is in the moment?
Okay, I had one suggestion, and my thought was, as a committee, we're all volunteers, and I was asking if there is a mechanism by which we'll get some support, financial support, for whatever we're doing. Like any other committees, if there's a financial support, we can do something more tangible. But this committee, my question about that didn't go too far. So just for the minute you think about, okay, if we got $1 million, I'm sure we can find a lot of good things we could do over and beyond free advice and free guidance. And then the other thing we kicked around is we work with Abby and Kelly and so forth. But if we have a forum where we can meetings with the director and then maybe the governor. Governor is the ultimate authority in the state of Michigan. and they're supposed to be backing us, our committee, according to the beginning of this committee. So there was a couple of crazy ideas I suggested, didn't go anywhere. So to be effective for the coming year, what do you think? We can do, same thing, or if there is some answers to those two questions, maybe we can do a lot more. But along the lines of whatever the staff of Eagle feel that are helpful to them. We don't want to go out and do something on our own at all, not at all. We like to do more that could be helpful to Abby and the others. So I may be talking about something not practical, but I don't know. What do you think?
I can jump in here, Joe, and just from the budget perspective, I know we've talked about it before, but yeah, MPART doesn't get a budget. So most of the costs are borne by the individual divisions. And so as far as I know, there's no way for us to put any money towards subcommittees or leadership or any of those kinds of things for this particular work. So if there's specific needs like, handouts or those kinds of things for meetings, we can definitely help with that. But financially supporting the COG members with events and that kind of stuff it's going to be a tougher sell, if that makes sense.
How big of a dent did your budget take this year compared to last?
Well, MPART is fully embedded into Eagle, and so we don't get a budget.
No, but Eagle's overall budget?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know they've, obviously they've tried to preserve staff as much as they can while finagling with the budget, but that's not something I'm terribly engaged with. So I'd have to ask. It hasn't affected our PFAS work to this point, but I do know that they've made some shifts in some of the funding to make sure that staff still have positions, especially with the federally funded positions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could say it's somebody that works on grants and programs across Eagle on different things, not just PFAS. It's a very complicated question because because so much of the funding is federal, or it's getting routed different ways. It's hard to get a top level assessment of that easily.
Can I ask one question? So there may be, it seems like, interest in having more community engagement comments during the meetings. Would it be possible to have a section where particularly newer members could ask a question like, if I want to have such and such testing, which department do I ask? Which person, that type of a thing? Even like which website would I have to go on? I know Kelly is great at finding those things on there, but if there was a point that we could have, even 15 minutes of the meeting where members could go on and just ask questions like that of, possibly staff. Now, I realize that this would not be anything specific to their contaminated area or anything like that, where they would be asking their staff person, specific questions, because I realize that has to be outside of the meeting. But I'm just asking in general, if they might be able to ask a question and get an answer as to where they would find things like on a website or something like that.
I don't see a problem with that, but that's up to you guys. If you want to add it to your agendas.
So do you think that's possible, Abby, that if somebody were to ask a question
Sure.
and somebody, if they were tuning in from Eagle or MDHHS or something like
Yeah.
that?
To the best of our ability, if who we've got on, we might need to, table it till the following meeting or follow up with you via email with an answer. But
Sure.
yeah, absolutely. And I would hope that people wouldn't wait until the meeting to ask those kinds of questions. Hopefully they've got our emails and would feel, free enough to contact us anytime during the month and ask questions like that. That's what we're here for.
So they would address questions to you and to Kelly, or?
Yeah, send them,
Okay.
send them to Kelly so that she can keep track of them. Because my inbox is a little bit dicey, but she's going to be the best person to send them through, and then we'll definitely get answers to you.
Okay.
Yep. We get
Great.
lots of those kinds of questions.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
kinds of stuff. So,
Great. So I don't know how many of
And
the
the
new people
answer-
are still on there, but was Lauren still on?
I think
I don't
so.
know if any of the other new members joined the.
Yes, I am still on.
Okay. So hopefully that might be helpful to you even, as far as outreach to get some questions answered.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So do we want to move on to MPART updates from Abby? Abby, the floor is yours.
oh gosh, yes. And I'm panicking here because after that whole little snafu before, I'm not sure what I've got left to say.
That wasn't your update, was it?
No, that was not my update. I don't know whose update that was. No, I think the biggest, a couple of things, I'm trying to remember. I think we talked last month after the PFAS conference, so we don't need to talk about that. As I told, the PFAS awareness subcommittee, we are, the PFAS awareness proclamation is at the governor's office. They will plan to issue that in May. And so then they will have time to get everything set up and work with the universities, work with the various communities to get their various events going. So I think that's all in process. That all looks good. And we'll just continue to get things working. Kelly, did I have any site updates? You're showing me the MPART things, so we do have a couple of new sites. Thank you, Kelly. So there's a new site in Ingham County at 2231 West Willow Street. I am not remembering what that one's about, so Kelly's gonna have to help me out on that. But the Aspenwood, thank you. Okay, this is the BEA one. Yeah, this one came in as a BEA. So, and we're now putting, if you want site files, there are site files associated with that particular one. So you can actually see the BEA if you want to go look at it. So I think that's kind of a pretty cool little feature. So check that out. The other one I will highlight is over in the Cascade part of Kent County, Cascade and Ada. This is on the east side of Grand Rapids. There will be a community meeting next week, Tuesday night. Kind of looking like I will be there for that one, but it's going to be handled by the Grand Rapids District Office. It's all started because somebody tested their drinking water well. It was part of a property transaction actually, and so was above criteria. And we've now expanded to 60 houses, and we just got somebody that sampled outside of the sampling area. They're high, so we're going to look at expanding again another 70 houses. So that one's expanding quickly. We don't have a good handle yet on the potential source, but we're working on it and going to continue to sample there. So that's on the east side of the Thornapple River, across the river from the airport. But it is on the east side. So that one's
Abby,
coming
I
up if
think,
you have time for that.
I'm gonna go to that one. And
Okay.
I think Patty Baldwin's gonna go too, so we'll
Good.
have some COG members here if you wanna.
Perfect. Perfect. That would be great. And then I think those are the two new things for us. Kelly, did I miss anything?
The only thing
Whoops, you dropped off, Kelly. Okay.
I talked to the web review subcommittee today about our website, the reports that we post, the maps that we post. We're going through a ADA web content accessibility project, looking at everything that is currently linked out there on our website. And in the future, things that files and reports and work plans and maps that are posted to the website effective April 24th. Anything new is going to have to meet the federal web content accessibility guidelines. So that was the Department of Justice signed that in April 2024. And given how large the state website is and how many people it serves, our deadline for all that is April 24th, 2026. So that's going to throw some hurdles into the mix for us and content that we're going to be able to link to from our website.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out how to make ADA compliant maps. So we'll figure it out one way or another. All right. Michelle, did you have anything from DHHS you wanted to add in for updates?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in if you didn't ask, but just wanted to let everybody know, because I know a lot of folks on this call have helped with this. Our PFAS website focusing on health has launched, and you can all see that at michigan.gov/PFAS. And that's going to be the website that's featured in the campaign. It directs everybody back to MPART to get, so it's a nice cross linkage between the two. But that is live, and just wanted to reiterate our thanks to everybody that has helped with this. We really appreciate it. And as time goes on, if you see additional things that you would like to have updated, feel free to bring those to us. And then also just a quick update on the test kit project, because I know we've talked to you all about this a couple times. We are now kind of gaining our role back now at the budget has been finalized and all of that. So we are moving forward and ensuring that local health departments are informed and able to participate. So we have about 20 local health departments that have signed on as interested, which is much better than the 8 that we had when we started this fiscal year. So that's exciting. And we will be starting those conversations a little more in earnest, and hopefully really getting recruitment solidified and ready to go very shortly. And we will provide updates on that, of course, as we go. And I think that is all that would be of interest to you folks. So thank you so much.
Is that water test kits or blood test kits?
Water test kits.
Okay.
We're not, yes, good question. Thank you for that. No, water test kits.
Okay.
Drinking water wells.
Yeah. But I don't know if MDHHS is interested, but I'm working with a group out of Northeastern and Silent Spring, and we have our Robert Wood Johnson grant to do education of clinicians on blood testing and what to do with those results. And so if you want, I'd be happy to add you guys to that list of contacts.
That would be
to-
fantastic. We do have some outreach materials already, so maybe we could support on that. And yes, thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, we have a CME video that physicians can get, CME credits for. It's only an hour and talks about blood testing and has some really good research in it. So I'll connect you guys.
Cool.
Send you an
Thank
email
you.
tomorrow.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it for MPART unless anybody's got questions for us.
Yeah, not really a question, just so the Aspenwood site, pulling up Google Maps. Yeah, that looks just particularly interested in hearing whatever comes out about that one. It's a suburban area from the looks of it. It's got golf courses around it. The drainage looks like it should be toward the river. Yeah, so
Yeah, well, there's a fire station, there's a school, there's an airport, there's septic, there's a whole lot of things that, and it's probably maybe a number of sources. So I think that's one where you need to look at not only the depth of the contamination, but maybe the contaminant profile of, fingerprinting for lack of a better term, and see what we got going on. So first we want to see whose houses have been affected, and then we will continue to work our way through. The interesting part is there's like this pocket of homes that aren't hooked to municipal water, and then surrounding them are people on municipal water. So
interesting.
We won't be able to get a good clear picture from a conceptual site model perspective of all the contamination, because we're going to have a pocket here of homes that need to be analyzed, and then they're going to be surrounded by municipal water, and then another pocket up here. So it's probably never going to be a complete picture as to identifying sources, but our goal is to make sure we're identifying public health risks at this point. So yeah, but we had another one, the Hillsborough area over in Cascade as well, that I think we ended up sampling like 300 or 400 homes, and we still can't quite figure out what the source is. And it's frustrating because obviously people want some answers and want some solutions. So Kelly, go ahead.
Totally not related to Aspenwood. But I'll be sending a new link out then for the monthly meetings, because I deleted the rest of the links, the recurring link. But I think one thing for this group to think about is, do we actually want the live link still posted to the MPART calendar, open to the public?
Don't these meetings have to be open to the public?
No, they don't have to be open to the public, but way back a couple of years ago, the members decided they wanted it open to the public and also the recording posted.
Well, and it is technically still open to the public. What we could do is on the website, if people want a link to the meeting, they can contact Kelly and get a link to the meeting, and she can send it to them. That way it's not out there in cyberspace for somebody to pick up and hijack us again. So technically it's still open to whoever wants. They just have to get the link ahead of time. So we could still post it on the calendar, but just put a link of,
Like a register for this
yeah,
meeting, like they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So technically we wouldn't have a closed meeting, but it would just, you would just need to do some advanced planning. And obviously we can, if Sandy's got a good friend she wants to invite, she can send them the link too. But it's just a matter that it won't be out there on the website for that kind of nefarious purposes anymore.
So I did notice there was somebody that was popping on with a unusual name.
Baja Fresh.
Yes. So if they're popping onto the second invite, that's a little worrisome. I think that it's probably worth all of us going through and checking our own email login history as best we can, just to make sure somebody didn't get into one of our inboxes and get the information that way. It's probably worth changing email passwords that we use to log on to this.
Yeah, I think so. Did Kelly, did you deny that person access? Or did somebody else deny him?
I kept denying them access, but I think somebody else was also as well.
Okay.
But
So
I'm also going to be contacting DTMB in the morning to figure out,
Why?
is it a state issue? Like, can they track where it came from? I
Yeah.
have no idea, but
Yeah, we'll see what we can do on our end. But yeah, I think to the extent that we'll have to be very cognizant about not hitting admit all and actually looking at the emails to make sure we know who these people are before they come into the meetings. Just yeah, because if somebody's email got hacked or something, then yeah, it could be coming in from one of our emails and we wouldn't even know it.
But it's pretty good for the first time in what, 6-7 years that we have that. So, it was fun. It's 2026. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I don't
Come
know, Sandy.
on.
My heart just stopped
It's to be
racing.
expected, right?
I
Okay.
just was having flashbacks of, oh my God, somebody left their computer on and is suddenly sharing their screen. And then it was like, no, you've been hijacked. Okay. Okay. Not good. Not good. So
I appreciate that MPART and Kelly got this back on so quickly.
Yeah.
Because we were just sitting here trying to figure out, should we try and scramble to get something together? And then the
Everybody's
next thing you know,
calling each
it's
other,
showing up
right.
on the screen. So thank you.
well, and apparently there is a way to you can right click. Michelle was telling me this. You can right click on their name on the side and remove them from the meeting. But it looked like it was almost multiplying, like there was more and more of those. So I don't know that you could have, it wasn't one person, it was, 5 of those. So anyways.
So we could look at the permissions. So I know, I can't remember how this works on Teams, but so all of us having admin, so any one of us could let in or reject people in the waiting room, and having that set so that it's only Kelly and maybe the leadership folks, I think is probably a good idea. Because what happens is then one of those gets in, and then there's a bot that automatically lets in the next person when you kill the account. So it's just, they just keep admitting the next person, and that's why it just keeps going. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, this is our first time with this, so it is a good track record. I mean, first time in 6 years with this, but still. Okay. Well, what else we got on the agenda? Are we all good for tonight?
I think we're good. Rick, is there anything on the Awareness Week that we didn't touch on that you want to share?
Yeah, we were meeting twice a month, and now we're going back to once a month. Our next meeting is going to be February 9th. And we're still, looking for ideas about what people want in their communities. If they want different kinds of events, there's opportunities to hook up with speakers and maybe some fundraising through GL Plan to help you with that. So we're kind of focusing on universities and then having some community events. So if you've got something going on in your community, some need to explain, like Eat Safe Fish or something like that, that would be a good week to schedule something. So. But yeah, I'm real excited. I'm real excited because the proclamation's been approved, and we're going to have it in September. So.
Yeah, we appreciate all the hard work. Brad, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to call attention to, I posted the link to the ITRC website announcement that they posted updates and substantial additional information appears anyway to the ITRC PFAS emerging contaminants webpage, and that includes a substantial amount of information on not just PFAS, but also microplastics and a couple of other emerging contaminants that I was unaware of. But it's a lot of real highly technical information. So it's just something that perhaps we could weed through and bring to people's attention some of the fact sheets or things that are available that might be helpful for our committees.
Thanks, Brad.
Well, one, I guess, suggestion from Cadillac case, maybe there's some lesson we have learned that we could use as a kind of a background information for us.
I do know for our next meeting, we were planning on having at least a short discussion on the results of the Cadillac testing and the comparison of the different approaches. So we'll probably get on that at the next meeting.
Okay.
That's if Bill Barnett is present. He really wanted to be present when that happened.
Yeah, definitely. He had a lot to do with it, right?
Certainly.
So.
And Joe,
Yes.
I wanted to thank you too for last meeting for using your technical skills to try and do some minutes for us.
Not me, somebody else.
Oh, I thought it was your note taker had done that.
Oh, that was a computer did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of helpful, sometimes confusing. So we're all learning,
Sure. But it is good to have a record, though, just like Sandy and John were talking about, just to even show what has been accomplished is easier to do when you have the minutes available in that.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly, did we have a couple of new people that were going to do short introductions that we skipped over?
We did. I
I think
don't
Lauren
know.
was one of them.
Lauren was one of them, and the other two doesn't look like they made it into this.
So before we go, Lauren, if you're still on and off mute, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Hi, I'm Lauren Calkins. I work as a STEM instructor at a high school level locally, Muskegon County. I work with Dr. Rick Rudensky and Tanya Kabala through the MLWP and PFAS task force. I'm helping them update a website, and I've made a few maps on the local level using a lot of MPART data, which is fun. I was going to do a small update on Muskegon County specific. The PFAS task force has a water testing grant, and they've decided on focusing on the Moreland and Eagleston townships based on a Eagles presentation on the Brooks and Laketon area of interest, and from feedback from residents and township leaders. Dr. Rick is working on a briefing paper that will include a lot of the updates on Muskegon specific sites, but the website itself will have those updates and links and a lot of Muskegon County specific PFAS task force fact sheets and things through WENIAC as well. Sorry, that was long-winded.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yep, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Well, since the others aren't here, I'm gonna move to adjourn unless anybody else has something they want to talk or bring up.
Or just one quick thought I had earlier. We were talking about the subjective narrative, just kind of reporting out what the COG had accomplished and demonstrating the value of the COG. If we do just a very slight phrasing change in the agenda, just to remind us, so it's like updates and outcomes rather than just like community updates. Just as a way to not just that. What have we done? What's happening? Doesn't have to be anything new, but just outcomes of something that we've done.
Oh, good suggestion. And Sandy, if you're looking for somebody to help you, you and John, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, same here. I can help write up an end of year report or whatever you need.
Perfect. I'll set out an email and see. We can't just all jump together. We may be able to just do it by email instead of trying to set up a separate meeting. So we'll figure something out, but we'll get that done. Love it.
Well, have a good night, everybody, and look forward to talking again in a month's time.
We'll see if we're all here. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night.